Well, my name's Rick, and I'm sailing Frog's Leap, yo. That's right. I'm here in La Cruz de Guanacaste on Banderas Bay on Mexico's Pacific coast. Yeah, it's about, I would say, maybe an hour north of Puerto Vallarta. It's real easy to get there by the autobus, and they're really convenient pick up and drop off spots. So I went in yesterday, got my beard cleaned up. Looking good. But, you know, trips to Puerto Vallarta have been few and far between. I've been really busy because I feel that this period of time where I've got an opportunity to do projects is wrapping up quickly. What? I mean, in a month? A month and a half? A little less than that now? A little less than a month and a half. So I got to start thinking about doing all those projects that you got to do before you head out. And today I'm going to be working on one of those things, at least for the way that I do it on Frog's Leap. This is something that's an annual change out, and that is the little zip ties that I use to mark how much scope do I have out there. So everybody has some kind of mechanism to know this. They mark it in some way. So on Frog's Leap, I use different colored zip ties. So what I got is some multicolored zip ties and some orange ones. You know, because what happens is with exposure to seawater and UV, these zip ties, they'll get brittle. Some will pop off, although that hasn't happened to me yet. But they will get brittle. But more importantly, they'll lose their color. And then when the chain's paying out or being recovered, it's difficult sometimes to notice. Oh, I missed that shot coming in, right? Or I missed that shot going out. So it's just kind of helpful. I noticed towards the end of last season, I was missing shots. I just wasn't seeing it. And so I'm going to take a look at how it's marked right now and see if I can improve on that. Maybe make it a little bit more obvious so that my eye can catch it as I'm working the ground tackle. So the alternator's running, right, to provide those extra amps, should it need it. Yeah, this is where I made my big mistake. Yeah, keep your eye on the links of chain as they come out of the water and approach my hand. Oh, there it is. Well, my first inclination was to rinse it off. But, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's get this chain on deck. Whoa, I am a real mess right now. Well, I'm thankful that I didn't take a shower before I started this project. So here I'm getting started placing my markings. Frog's Leap is outfitted with about 175 feet of 5/16 chain and then another 100 feet of 5/16 double braided nylon to make a total of 275 feet, give or take, of total road available. So once I'd get a section marked, I'd pay out that chain back into the water and use the windlass to load that chain locker back up. Well, everything required me to get dirty. working with that chain. So I was not able to keep filming. I ended up taking a shower. I needed new clothes right then. Grab my Tide and just wash these babies in the shower. Sometimes you have to do it. So what I'm gonna do is go out to the foredeck with you and just show you with a zip tie what was happening earlier in the season and why I'm making this change. I really didn't get to show you what I was doing with each link, and I want to do that. So let's go out to the foredeck. We'll use this zip tie as an example. It was marked right here. I would see it, but it's also possible right here. I may or may not see it. In fact, if this pivot's just a little bit more like this, I don't see it at all. Like, I don't see it right there at all. So you can totally miss it. There's a couple things I did. Before, there was just one zip tie. We'd have an orange here and an orange here. 2 consecutive links on the same side. And then we'd have 2 consecutive links oriented in the same way on the other side. So no matter what, you're going to see multiple links. I really am looking forward to being able to read the ground tackle better this year. As I was bringing in the chain, I took this picture of the 150 mark. So no matter what, I'm going to catch some color. That thing could be flying around. I'm going to catch the color. You know, I love telling stories, and that's what this channel is about. It's all about the stories that happen when I'm sailing. But today I'm going to give my first Coast Guard sea story. So the reason why I'm going to tell this story is because, well, here I am in La Cruz. I'm surrounded by the yachting community down here in Banderas Bay, and most of us have fiberglass boats, so this is kind of a relevant story. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it. And luckily, I have some pictures. You know, I wasn't shooting video back then. This was 20 years ago. But I was keen enough, sharp enough, had enough foresight to shoot a few pics and hold on to them. So I will show you those in this segment. So I commanded a boat in 2003 called the Coast Guard Cutter Ocracoke. I had that boat for 2 years when it was stationed out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and we regularly patrolled the Mona Pass, which is the body of water that separates the Dominican Republic to the west and Puerto Rico to the east. So we're on patrol, and I'm notified of a collision that occurred overnight. And it was a collision between a freighter and a sailboat. So we get over there, and this is what we see when we first come to this location. It was a husband and wife on the boat. Now, he said he was in the head, but you know, the rules say you have to maintain a continuous watch, and these things are really well lit. So it didn't ring true, but it didn't matter. That wasn't my problem. My problem was making sure he was safe, right? You know, the Coast Guard prioritizes lives over property, but we will try to save property at sea. And this is what I told the captain of this boat. I recommend that we'll hightail it back to Puerto Rico. You can coordinate with a salvage person. You know, the Coast Guard has flights all the time going on up here. And if they know your boat's out here, they'll just track it. When you need the position, we'll give it to you. We can't guarantee nobody's going to come and loot it, but nobody knows it's out here but you and us. So let's be realistic. It's big water out here, you know. So, you know, in 24 hours, he would have been fine. But that was not what he chose. And I told him, I said, you should reconsider. I mean, if you want me to tow your boat, it's tough, man, because these patrol boats are designed to go fast. They have 2 engines, and if I clutch in on one engine, I'm going 9 knots. Yeah. And if I clutched in on both, I'm going 12 minimum. So to tow this boat, and I explained this, I said, you know, I'm going to have to clutch in and out on one engine and try to keep the speed like under a knot, because your boat is pretty damaged. And we were close enough to where the captain could see what kind of work we were doing on the boat. I mean, none of this was obligatory to the Coast Guard, but you know, if someone's in need out here, we're going to try to do the best we can. And really all we had was duct tape. You know, you do the best you can with what you have out there. And so while it looks primitive to put duct tape on the front of a boat, if that's all you have, that's all you have. And anyway, my recommendation was that he get a proper salvage person to do it and not have us tow it in. I told him I thought the probability that we would be able to successfully do it without the boat sinking is very low. He said he understood and he would like us to try. Yeah, So we got the boat under tow, and we're taking it away from the tanker. So this whole time, the tanker had taken position, so that sailboat was in the lee. So it looks like it's really calm. It wasn't quite that calm, and you'll see in subsequent pictures, the way it wasn't that calm. That looks like a lake right there, you know. And even at that slow speed, and I'm pretty sure we kept it below a knot and a half. There were a few times where maybe 1.1, 1.2, and it's tough with engines that powerful to tow like this. And once we got out there, even with that slow speed, with the wave action, water would, I mean, that looks like plywood to me. I think it's delaminating plywood between the layers of plywood. This was coming off like it was just coming off, you know. So I got the guys off, and this is how we left her. A couple years later, I got a call from a Coast Guard lawyer. I was working in Cleveland. Apparently, the captain said, well, the Coast Guard had my boat under tow. They rescued us. They had my boat under tow, and they sunk my boat. He says to me, hey, we think we have this case, but I just want to let you know, sometimes these cases go sideways. You never know what the other side's going to say or bring. So it's possible that we may need your testimony, and I just kind of wanted to see what you had going on next week. And I told him, I said, nothing. I'll come whenever you need me, A little boondoggle to D.C.? Sure, I'll do it. Well, I didn't have to go, and so I'm sure they lost their claim. But ask me the questions in the comments. I love the comments. The algorithm really likes my channel when you comment. So there you go. Well, thank you everyone for watching this episode of Sailing Frogs Leap. I'll see you next week.